Hi, I'm Jennifer Serve, the Sewing Room, and today I'm going to talk about adding darts to a dress to give it more shape. So, we'll start with this example here that I'm wearing today. This is from a 1930s pattern, and it's an early 30s pattern. So, in the early 30s, there wasn't a lot of shaping going on in the dresses. It was sort of at the end of the 1920s into the 1930s. Dresses were somewhat shapeless. They were given a belt just to emphasize the waist a little bit, but they had, as you can see, I have just a little bit extra back here that is not very flattering and is not very pretty, and when I stand up I don't like the way it looks. So I am going to pinch out with some pins just about what I think would be a more flattering shape. I'm just going to grab it. It's a little hard to do on yourself. It's nice if you have a partner for this, but it's not impossible. I think I just pinned my belt. And now I can't find the pin. Anyways, let's see. It's in there somewhere, but I did pinch it out here. You can see I pinched out quite a bit of fullness, probably 2 inches total, maybe a little more, but 2 inches is probably enough. As I look in the mirror, that seems like enough to make me feel just a little more comfortable with this dress. So now that I've pinched it out, I'm going to take it off and show you what's next. Okay, so here's the dress, and as I'm looking at it, I forgot it had a center back seam. So that's actually good because I can use some of that seam to reduce the fullness in each of the separate darts. So I'm going to take a measuring tape to see how deep this pinch was. So it is a total of 3 inches. So that would be two 2-inch darts and then a 1/2 inch on both sides out of the center back. And I think I want to take it up a little bit higher than the actual waist here because that's how I'm shaped. So I'm going to turn it inside out. My waist appears to be taller and higher than where I even have the belt loops positioned. So I may move those belt loops also. But I can see generally where the smallest portion is. So in marking my darts, I'm going to measure, I'm going to be right about here. I can accurately guess where the waist position is by using this. And my waist position is closer to 15 than it is to 16. So the smaller parts, or the bigger parts of the darts, and where I want it to be smaller, is going to be in this range here. So I'm going to use this, which is about 15.5 from the shoulder. I'm going to use that as my center guide and mark it in pins, and then I'll measure from the side seam to the seam. It looks like it's about 9 1/8. So I will put 9 1/4. So I'll put the dart center halfway in between, which will be around 4 5/8. All right, so that's where the dart center is. And I think we're going to make the darts come down about 6 inches from the waist, and we'll have them go up about 6 inches. Maybe more like, I think 5 inches is more appropriate. And I'm just marking that. What I want to do is line it up with a grain line here. So that looks pretty even. And then at this waist portion, I'm going to mark about 1/2 inch away from each side. And then I will take a marker. I use friction markers, which come off when you iron them. And I'll just draw in my dart here. Right there. To here. And then to here. And then I can draw in the other dart over here. And then I will transfer this to the other side. And the easiest way to do this, to get it to be exactly where it is on one side to the other, is to turn it over here and get yourself some tracing paper. And then just trace the dart with a tracing wheel and some tracing paper. After we get the darts marked on the back, we're going to take a little bit off the center back seam in the same place, just a smidge, only about 1/4 inch. And what I'm going to do is mark it and pin it before I sew it. So it's like the 3rd dart, really. So I'm only taking about 1/4 inch, which will be at 1/2 inch total. And I'll blend it in just like this. Then we'll pin it. I'll show you how to pin the darts. I'll first pin this line over here. And I'm pinning it along the line that I drew. And then when I stitch it, I can just take those pins out as I sew. And to do the darts, we're going to do the darts first by pinching the dart together at the top. And what I do is I make sure that the pin goes in to the dart leg on the back side and comes out at the dart leg on the other side. So when it goes in on the line, and if it's not on the line, I move it over until I get it on the line. And that's how I keep my dart legs together. It takes a bit of practice to get this right, but I continue down to the end of my dart. It's not quite right, so it does help to look on the back side and place your dart like that. And then I'm going to sew this the same way as I sewed as I will sew the center back seam. I'm going to take those pins out as I go. But first I have to get to the end of the dart, and then I'm going to pin the dart on the other side, and then we will sew. Just like that. Starting at the end of the dart, where the pins are, I place my my fabric under the machine. Right at the end, I take that first dart out, and first pin out, and then I start and I sew along the marked line. Now my line is marked very faintly with the tracing paper. It's a little bit hard to see, but I'm sewing along that line as I take the pins out. And I'm going to repeat this process for the back seam as well as the other dart. And when I I get to the end of the dart right here, I'm going to slowly take the pin out and do my back stitch. Clip my threads, and there's my dart. Here's the finished purple dress. I've done my darts in the back, and I think it gives it a much smoother finish overall. So I'm very happy and pleased with the result, and I think it's a pretty easy correction or alteration that you can make to any garment. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps us out.